"You're a banana," says my mom. I'm 18 years old, and I'm thinking, what? She goes, "Yeah, you are yellow on the outside, white on the inside." Hearing this from my mom was like a cut to the heart, a cut from my mother culture. I joked all the time with my friends, "Oh, I'm a banana and a banana," but never had I heard it from my mom. I am Korean. I am American. I am Korean American. Let me say this again. I am not Korean and I am not American. I am Korean and American together. My mom grew up and immigrated when she was 18 years old to Ohio, and my father was a Korean War orphan. His first memory was at 3 years old with planes coming and bombing down on his city as he had to flee south, his parents recently having disappeared into North Korea. And on my grandma's back, they fled down south to Busan. Now, fast forward, he eventually immigrated as well on a student visa to earn his doctorate in mechanical engineering at OSU, Ohio State University. And that's where I was born, in Ohio. Raised in Georgia and Texas and Eastern Washington. I have always, for whatever reason, lived in all white communities for the most part. Sure, you can count on your hand how many, usually in my school of 800, maybe count on your hand how many Asians there were from many different countries, but for sure the only Korean. So why do I share this? Because pride has a myriad of faces. Pride has many different definitions. So we're going to look at each face of pride. The first one is around what we know pride as. "Oh, I'm so proud of my kids," or "I'm proud of this accomplishment." It's the pleasure, the joy of accomplishment. The second aspect of pride is maybe that other side of the coin. It's when you have too much pride, ego pride, that could get you in trouble. And then pride is also has a third aspect you might hear about, Pride Month. It's typically when you have a shared confidence and respect for a shared identity or culture. So that's another part, typically socially marginalized communities. There is my fourth definition of pride, which is my favorite, which is a social group of lions. We're not going to talk about that today. So the first definition is really having pleasure and joy of what you achieve. Now, how many of you have gone into, on a one-on-one conversation and you kind of don't share everything about your life because you don't want other people to feel bad? Anybody have ever? I know there's a lot of high achievers in here. Story of my life. It took me 35 years to finally admit and come full circle where I'm like, no, I'm all these things, and I'm not gonna try to just niche into one thing. It doesn't mean bragging. It's distinct, although I don't think bragging is even bad that we've made in our society. It's just not dimming yourself down to make other people feel comfortable or not feel bad about themselves. So in a moment, I'm going to do it in front of all you and share myself. And in practicing this, I was like, oh my gosh, I had to kind of contend with myself. I'm like, this is going to go on and on and on, but I'm going to do it to demonstrate. So as I go through the slides, think about for you and your life. Where can you be unapologetically you? Okay, we're going to do that? All right. So first thing is, about a year ago, I had the honor on World Peace Day to organize a World Peace concert alongside some major rock stars that have played with bands you've heard of, as well as a 7-time Emmy Award winner. Now, the accomplishment wasn't actually that. It was that 6 months prior to that, I refused to sing in public with 2 people online. I could not call myself a singer-songwriter. I had not written any songs. And so this was wild, to release my first original song on stage and be the final act. The music totally cut out and I had no idea. So I ended up singing a cappella, but all is well. Last month, this is pretty cool, so I just gave my second TEDx talk on the topic, shift from burnout to brilliance. And what was super cool, it was the first time since the pandemic that I was able to speak live in front of people, and my first one was canceled and we had to do it online. But I decided to dance and sing. So I came out dancing like this, and then I ended surprisingly singing a cappella. So that was just cool to bring to the table. And then I got a LinkedIn message a couple weeks ago. They're like, hey, you're in my newsletter, you're the top 10 TEDx talks. I'm like, I didn't know there's such a thing. I was like, cool, I'm number 9, right? But apparently there's like 1,400 talks a month, so that's awesome. Black belt in Taekwondo earned that last December. I won't go into details, but it involved tiring you out for 30 minutes, jump roping, 5-minute plank, blah, blah, blah. Then you start the 4-hour test. My most secret part was the blindfolded. You have to turn and do a hook kick and break wood. And anyway, super cool. I got a YouTube channel. You can watch the whole video. Shameless plug. Okay, and then the last piece is I am the founder of Soul Joy. So we are a well-being mind-body training company. And here I'm on Insight Timer also as a meditation teacher. So have many of you heard of Insight Timer? Oh, not a lot. Interesting. Okay, it's like there's 26 million on the platform, and you can slice and dice any kind of meditation you want, no matter how religious or spiritual you are, what time frame you want, like that. So anyway, I'm a teacher on there, and I'm just proud I hit 1,000 followers because it took me so long. It was like 7 followers, 10, like dripping every week. And I'm most proud of not that number, although 1,008 is a cool spiritual number. I'm most proud of the consistency, because I was like, because you can't sell on there. It's all donation. It's like a total service to humanity. So, and they kick you off if you talk about anything social. But I went from monthly to weekly and now twice a week. So I just love, it's a cool place to serve. And I really like the 4,000 heart gratitude because forever, usually I get like 500, it's like really low or lower. But this time, for whatever reason, when you show your energy, more hearts, and somehow, I don't even know why that was. I also just finished 2 years ago a Vipassana retreat, which is where you meditate for 100 hours, about 10 hours a day. You get up at 4 a.m., go to bed at 9. What makes it remarkable is that you can't look at people in the eye, journal, do yoga, read, write, anything. It's kind of like prison in a great way. You literally just sit, or you're eating, or you're sleeping, and that's it. So what I'm most proud of, not besides just finishing it, is that since then, I've been meditating about an hour a day very consistently. So that's been very key to success for me. Okay, so again, where can you unapologetically be you? The second facet is the other side. So this is the consciousness of one's own dignity. It's where you have maybe too much pride, you need to swallow it. So this is, we had 4 really hard years from late 20s to early 30s financially. And during that time, I kept it all secret, didn't tell a soul. And we were on food stamps. And I remember going into the store, and you can only buy certain foods with your food stamps, right? So I'm like trying to be discreet, not show my WIC card in case I see anybody. And then I got the wrong beans. And so I'm like, please be discreet. And the woman's like, hey, you got the wrong ones. And she's like, Linda, come over here. And I'm like, please, please. And so they swapped the beans out for the ones that I qualify for. And the beans are like $1. I'm like, what am I doing? So in that moment, I was like, okay, I had to swallow my pride and ask for help and admit it to my family. And I had to borrow money from my parents as a young family, the whole gamut. Tell my friends, they had no idea. They're like, oh my gosh, you could stay with us. And it was actually a beautiful thing. Pride taught me how to just let others contribute to you and not try to go it alone, and more opened up actually out of it. So my inquiry to you is, where have you had to swallow your pride? And then what gifts came from you being vulnerable, being open, and asking for help? Our third aspect is confidence and self-respect in an area, a shared group. So I'm going to read a couple excerpts. I recently was one of the top 3 papers selected in the Conference for Global Transformation, and it was on belonging was the theme of the whole conference. So my paper is called Belonging in America, and it was about the Korean American token experience. And this is how I felt. I had no pride, basically, in being Korean. You'll see. Okay. Growing up, it didn't occur to me that I was any different. If I got singled out when other kids didn't, race was not the reason why. Ignoring race labels, I refused to believe I was different. I insisted I belonged. No matter what my skin or ethnicity was, I was American. I only spoke English. I didn't even know Korean. At times, I denied even being Korean. I was more interested in hindsight, in assimilating into the white culture, American culture, and I needed to feel safe and belong. If another Asian came into the community, I felt like they were invading my territory of being the token Asian American, because being a token meant my behavior represented the entire culture. So at times, to assimilate, this meant being racist against other Asians. I would ignore them if they tried to befriend me, act too cool for them, especially if they had an accent. Every time I walked into a room, I would have to speak English to let them know, hey, I'm one of you, I'm not a foreigner, you can treat me, I'm okay. I was not going to lose my safe standing that I had built so hard to build, all my life to build. And so I played my model minority part well, as the invisible, smart, reliable sidekick that was never the leading protagonist, but that you could kill off in a movie or a book without upsetting the audience too much. I became that which I despised, selling out on what I knew was right, simply to fit in and belong. So it's hard to have pride, right, in your culture when you're invisible, and I was so bent on feeling safe and belonging. That's what mattered more. So I sold out a lot. Now, as social creatures, right, I can have some compassion now because unconsciously this was happening. And as a social species, if you're kicked out of the clan, it's like death. And it was pretty unconscious of what I was doing. But needless to say, I bought into white supremacy, into privilege, into the entitled colonist culture myself. And I did what I loathed and was racist against other people and Asians to keep my stronghold as a token. So that's where the paper starts. And then fast forward, it goes through belonging as language, belonging as names, and all these things. And then at the end, this is where it turns around. Belonging as a salad instead of melting pot. I'm committed that all people can openly and simply acknowledge that we are all racist. There's a lot of freedom in that. It wasn't an accident that in a token Asian American workshop that I was running, the only one to acknowledge realizing that he was racist was the token Asian. I've never experienced a white person admitting they're racist. It's just strange how minorities understand this phenomenon. But admitting one is racist is progress towards belonging as a salad. If humans continue to deny racism or be colorblind, white supremacy will reign, and the melting pot of assimilation into a dominant culture will remain. But imagine the freedom if we can all just admit we're all racist. I don't care what color you are. From that shared reality, we can begin to heal and move past trauma into a new world and celebrate diversity for what it is, and keep it pure to the culture rather than Americanizing it or having some sort of dominant culture. And the world I want my son to belong in, he's going into middle school, 11 years old, is celebrating all cultures, all religions, all with holidays with curiosity, wonder, respect. It looks like being curious and open to all the subtle ways that culture gets shared. And learning and listening to the minority perspective. I realized being a banana was my attempt to blend into the melting pot. So now I'm learning to be in a salad and boldly celebrate being that tomato or cheese. I don't know why I added that. Okay. Visiting Korea when I was 18 years old, I stuck out. The way I dressed, my mannerisms was so American. And so I felt like a foreigner, no matter what country I was in, and I just couldn't feel at home anywhere. But now my sense of home is wherever I am, in my body, regardless of circumstances. And rather than come from, am I Korean, am I American, or trying to make one culture into the other, I am both, fully. And only by embracing both cultures can belonging be experienced, while still standing that every culture has equitable representation in media and leadership, in pay. As I don't have to deny the inequities exist, but simply stand for creating belonging for myself inside a world of inequity. So I've come full circle. I really embraced the whole Korean thing since then. So I just wanted to share some wonderful parts of my life. So this is me. I'm a Korean Qigong Tai Chi instructor in my company now, and that's my Energy Master uniform. This is my dad and my son, Eli, and Sandy's my stepmom, and we're celebrating New Year's Day. So New Year's Day is a very big holiday, bigger than Christmas. Get a lot of good food and so forth. I'm gonna stand over here because I feel like moving over here. Okay. This is a recent trip. Whoa, it's different over here. We came. We went to Korea, my son and I, when he was 11 years old, to a Korean meditation tour last fall. And so we got to visit all the places of one of my energy masters where they became enlightened. And so this is the temple of which they're enlightened at, and this is the big ceremony that we had. This was a big deal. It's kind of like a Eagle Scout kind of process to become an energy master. So he's there with me, and then this is downtown Seoul, people in traditional uniform, or hanbok. And then this is downtown Seoul. It's a really cool mishmash of super high-tech city, and then old school, old palace by the mountains, and it would happen to be Founding Day in Korea, which is kind of like 4th of July. And so on that day it was raining cats and dogs, and we were out there for 4 hours in this like parade thing, and there's supposed to be this huge demonstration happening that got canceled because it was the rain, and apparently it's like a bad omen. If it rains, it never rains on Founding Day, but it was raining, so everyone's like, oh. But we went out there anyway, and we were like, yeah, we're dancing, and so forth. And then they decided there's this big like Liberty Bell thing, and you ring it 3 times on Founding Day. And then only for the president, they ring it 33 times. So this particular day, they were so impressed that we just turned out in this pouring rain, they decided to ring it 33 times. And then they decided thereafter, it'll always be rung 33 times. Super cool, right? So we made history while we were there. So to summarize, sorry, that last part might have been a little heavy. I felt the energy kind of be like confronted. I love you all. So don't dim yourself down to make other people feel comfortable. Instead, just focus on being the fullest expression of yourself in all situations. Don't let too much pride hold you back from dealing with reality. Instead, swallowing pride can actually be an opportunity to ask for help, to be vulnerable. And don't sell out on your culture to feel safe and belong. Instead, face your fears, be proud of where you came from. Inquiries I want to leave you with is, in what ways can you boldly be unapologetically you? How has pride shaped you? In what ways can pride contribute to who you are today? And in what ways can pride shape who you'll become? Use pride. Pride has a lot of lessons to give you, and then all you have to do is focus on being grateful. Thank you.